Amid the global economic downturn in recent years, Korea has constantly expanded the scope of its official development assistance, or ODA, becoming a new role model in development aid.
Not only that, Korea remains the only country to date to have transitioned from an aid recipient to aid donor and from one of the poorest countries buried under the ashes of the Korean War in the mid-20th century to joining the OECD Development Assistance Committee.
So what exactly is ODA and why is it so important to Korea? Joining us live in the studio to give us some perspective is Enna Park, Director General of the Development Cooperation Bureau at Korea's Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Good evening, Ms. Park. Thank you so much for coming to our studio today.
Thank you.
All right, so we understand that expanding Korea's ODA is one of the main agenda items for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in 2013. Now, how did official development assistance climb up the ladder to become one of the Korean government's key tasks?
Well, development cooperation, which means assisting developing countries to eradicate poverty and develop its economy, is one of the key areas of Korean foreign policy. Foreign policy actually covers various areas such as national security diplomacy, contribution diplomacy, to contribute to the peace and prosperity of the world. Cultural diplomacy, environment and climate change diplomacy, and public diplomacy to communicate with people in other countries. Developing cooperation is a foreign policy goal itself on its own. At the same time, it's a very effective tool to implement other areas of foreign policy, such as contribution diplomacy, friendship promotion diplomacy, and public diplomacy, and etc. The reason why official development assistance is particularly important to Korea is the fact that Korea has received foreign aid from other countries when we were in need, from the moment of our liberation from the colonial rule, and especially during and after Korean War. Thanks to the foreign aid to us, we successfully accomplished the economic development. Now it's our turn to help other countries in difficult situations. In this context, the Park Geun-hye government made a strong commitment to ODA, saying we will continue to increase the volume of ODA and we will try to make our ODA program more effective, addressing the actual needs of developing countries with a view to contributing to global community. So this is the background that we included development cooperation as one of the key areas of foreign policy.
Right. I mean, we've been there, so we understand their needs a lot better than other countries. Well, we hear reports that the government earmarked, let's talk about some numbers, 2 trillion won, that's about $2 billion for ODA projects this year alone. That's a big chunk of the annual budget. Are you planning on any new projects in particular or areas that your ministry plans to focus on?
Yes, we are planning several priority program. 2 trillion won, which is equivalent to around $2 billion still modest, but it's not a small amount. So the government has a duty to be accountable for the use of this money, accountable to our own taxpayers and accountable to recipient these countries and their people. So the task is how to use this aid in a more effective way. And I believe that we can use this money based on our comparative advantage. And it seems to us our comparative advantages are, among others, our own experience of development. We know difficulties, we know the challenges, and we overcame those challenges. So that's the experience we have to share. And second advantage is that Korean people's aspiration, especially young people, to go abroad and to help people. So based on these advantages, we are planning several priority programs. First, we will expand the KOICA's knowledge-based program, which is called DEEP, D-E-E-P. It stands for Development Experience Exchange Partnership. It is a consultation or consulting program tailored to recipient countries' specific need and situations while utilizing Korean experience. Second, we will focus on concrete programs through which we can make impact on ground. One example is New Village Movement, Semal Undong in Korean. We all remember that Semal Undong was a successful rural development strategy Korea executed in 70s and 80s. And of course, Korean Semal Undong should be modified suitable to other countries in different contexts. But the dissemination of the core value of Semal Undong, which is can-do spirit, it will make a real impact on ground, I believe. And we also have several pilot public-private partnership program, PPP, to creating synergy between government and private sectors in helping others. In this regard, we launched DAK, we call it DAK, Development Alliance Korea. So not only Korean government, but also Korean NGOs and Korean private sectors, including business, we created an alliance to put all our strengths in a more systematic way. The last thing is we will expand the World Friends Korea program, which is a volunteer program. Every year we will send around 5,000 volunteers to developing countries to assist the development projects. Then with this number, we are the second largest volunteer sending country right after the United States.
All right, definitely the scale or the volume of Korea's ODA has been expanding rapidly over the years. Now, Anna, how would you differentiate the Korean government's ODA program in the past and of the recent years?
Well, the history of Korea as a donor is relatively short. In 1991, we established the KOICA as an agency to implement ODA projects while we still received foreign aid those days. In 1999, we finally graduated from the recipient list and officially became donor country in the year of 2010 when we joined OECD DAC, a club of donor nations. So Korea is still learning from others on how to make our ODA more effective. Since we joined the OECD DAC, we have vigorously tried to integrate the relevant norms and the principles such as accountability, transparency, ownership of receiving countries, result-based approach, and harmonization, etc. in our ODA program. As an effort to do so, we are making selected and focused approach, identifying priority partner countries. Now we focus on 26 priority countries instead of spending the small amount of limited resources of ODA to all over the world. By doing that, we could transform our previous small size, sporadic project to more scaled up and integrated project and moving to a program-based approach. In addition to that, Korea is also playing a significant role in global development cooperation processes, such as we introduced the G20 development agenda at Seoul Summit 2010, and we hosted a high-level forum 4 in Busan 2011, shifting the paradigm of development cooperation from aid effectiveness to development effectiveness. As a follow-up, we launched global partnership, engaging all stakeholders, including not only governments and international organizations, but also civil society, private sector, and parliament. And recently, we actively are participating in post-2015 framework process succeeding current MDGs. In sum, Korea is contributing to global efforts to combat poverty through its ODA program, as well as through its leadership in multilateral processes.
Well, definitely. So Korea is doing our share in the global arena as as our status rises as one of the leaders of the global world. Now, unfortunately, we're out of time. So, Anna, in one sentence, how would you foresee our Korea's ODA program 5 years down the road?
Well, over 5 years, the Park Geun-hye government will actively join international efforts to eradicate poverty and creating common prosperity by increasing its ODA and by shaping a truly effective paradigm of our ODA program and consolidating our fragmented ODA governance. Then we are going to send more volunteers, as I said. So in 5 years, you can see Korean volunteers, young people, and retired experts at every corner of developing world working with passion for their more prosperous international community.
Well, thank you for helping us paint that very positive picture in the future. Enna Park, Director General of the Development Cooperation Bureau at Korea's Ministry of Foreign Affairs, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.